All right, so again, this is going to be chapter 4. It's nothing that you really haven't seen for the first 6 skills here. We've done most of this in either Word or Excel previously. The only thing that should be really new to you is really skills 7 through 10, where we're adding animation to our slides, to components on our slides, and then how we can actually navigate our slideshow within the unit there. So for starters here, I am just going to go ahead and open up one of these documents here. So pop over here to student data files. Let's go PowerPoint, chapter 4, student data files. I'm going to open up growth here. That's the example that they use in the book. All right, so here we have our business growth. Inside of this first or second slide here, I should say, it wants you to create a table. And inserting a table is really easy when you have these content placeholders. Again, in these layout sections, that's what these like dotted peripheral lines are showing you here, is that it's a placeholder for something, so it just creates a template, right? We can click here to add text. We can insert a table. We can insert a chart, smart art, pictures, videos, all of that. So in this example, we're just going to go ahead and insert a table. We can determine how many columns or rows that we need. I'm simply just going to go ahead and do a 2x2. Takes over the top there. All right, we can go ahead and punch in some of this data that they have here. Fitness products and services. And then green, construction. Simple way when you're in a table in order to create a new blank row is when you're in this bottom right one, just hit tab and it'll create a brand new row for you. Then you don't have to take your hands off of the keyboard. Again, so that way then you're a little bit more efficient. Right, so if we can go ahead and enter those. If you want to do it manually, right, you can go up here to layout. If you want to add another column, you know, you can determine which way to the left or to the right of where your insertion point is. You want to add a row above or below, you have those options here as well. We have our distribution. We can change how tall our rows are, how wide our columns are, and change our alignment and text direction, just like we did in Microsoft Word. So in this one here, I'm going to simply create one that's above, and we're going to go ahead and call this industry. I can merge these cells again, like we've previously done. I can center that material. Under my design, I can go ahead and change some of these as well. So if I don't want a header row, or if I want a header row, if we want banded columns, if we want last column, right? So there's a bunch of different options that we can go ahead and choose. Same with our style effects, like we've previously done in Word, right? We can change exactly how we want them to look. We can even go under effects and add some specific like cell effects. So if you want them to stand out differently, you can add those pretty quick and easy as well. If we look on the next one here, again, this is just inserting a chart. Again, if you go onto your content placeholder here, you choose your insert chart feature. We can go ahead and choose this default one that it has chosen. And what happens is it now opens in an embedded Excel workbook on this chart. So it already has the information that's already like set up for you. You just have to manipulate this data table so that it reflects what you want. So if we said, this is what, this is 2015, 2016, 2017, right? So these are our series. So these are now the different columns that are in here. The categories could be something different. So we could look at, this one is technology, this one is healthcare, and this one is staffing. And if we have more than what we need, we can just literally highlight and delete. To get this area to disappear, just go ahead and drag this up and we can go ahead and remove it, okay? You can enter any number that you want. So if we wanted to update 2015 and say it's 5.5, it will then automatically update on here for you as well. This is really nice. You can actually embed charts and graphs from Excel. So if you're still working in Excel, anytime that you update your charts and graphs in Excel and you've got it embedded here in PowerPoint, it will automatically update. It does the exact same thing in Google Drive as well, within your Google Docs. I have multiple presentations that I use specific charts from research that I've done, and I've embedded them in different ones. So when I go to present at a conference about usually the same thing, but I need to update it, all I have to do is update my spreadsheet and it will automatically update my presentation that I'm going to give at the conference. So it's really helpful in order to use some of these features and how they embed inside of each other. Again, just like we did in Word and Excel, right? We can go ahead and we can change our color schemes. We can change our designs, right? So if we want them overlapping here so that we can show that difference, we can change those. We can select our data. We can edit our data. So if we go in, right, we can actually do different fills as well into the backgrounds. We could change our chart type. We could edit our data here. Right, so if we want to go ahead and switch this, we could switch this around and just punch in now 2016 updated to 3.6, 2017 2.25, healthcare is up 2.75, and it just automatically updates, right? Let's see here. We know how to insert pie charts, but just again, for those of you that maybe have forgotten, you can go right up here into chart. You can choose your pie chart here as well. If we go ahead and insert that in, again, we just need to manipulate the data that's already here, and we can manipulate it however we may need to, right? Once we get past the charts and tables, the new steps here are applying animation. Some of you have likely experienced some animation within Google presentations already. You have a lot more features inside of PowerPoint here. A little bit more functionality. This is, again, the industry standard tool for presentations. I've yet to see anybody outside of education use Google Presentation. So again, we can add it in a variety of ways. We can highlight specific items and go up here to animation, and we can choose specifically what we want it to do. So if we wanted to go in, we can say brush a color, so it highlights the text there. We can even pick what color text that it chooses, right? So now it highlights into this bright green. If we wanted to add the whole section, right, we can actually do like a float in. So it brings in this whole section, and we can add any other specific animation that we may want, right? So here's another one that kind of brings it all in. There's some advanced ones. We can add triggers. If you want to get really in depth in this, which I really like to, you can either do your preview, you can open up your animation pane here, and you can actually see the order that these are then going to be applied. And if you want something to happen before another, right, you can go ahead and you can position it up by using these arrows. So if you want this content one to happen, and then we're going to go ahead and highlight this one. All right, so if we play, so if this one comes in, that one comes in, and it does all 5 of them. And then maybe we have, instead of, right, now we go ahead and add an animation. We could add our brush color here. And now if we look on our slide here, now you can see the sequential order that this all happens. And you can drag and drop some of these into specific orders. So if you want things to happen in different sequences in events, you can do that. You can add duration and delay. So if you want to speed it up, slow down the animation, you can easily do that there as well. One thing that I'm going to be having us do with our PowerPoint summative is you'll be actually creating your own standalone one that you can then export as a video. And you're going to have all of your own audio, animations, and slide transitions and stuff like that. All right. So we can add these different ones here. We've talked about slide transitions already here, right? So those apply to the slide as a whole as we're transitioning from slide to slide. Animation is going to be the content that's on each individual slide that we're animating. If you want to go ahead and remove these as well, you can go to this drop down here on your animation pane and you can click remove. You can even have things start with previous or start after previous. You can go into like effects timing. So if you want sound effects as things are coming in, you can add those as well, right? It's like just setting up a whole movie timeline essentially. And you can do actually quite a bit in here. Really last but not least within this section is actually going into your slideshow. You can click slideshow here. And if you look at, we can go ahead and we can use our arrows down here at the bottom if we wanted to navigate next, or we can just click into the background here of the slide and start the animations. We could also actually take this pen tool, or we could actually do a laser as well. But if we wanted to maybe point something out here, we could be like, yeah, see, provide business growth. And we could actually highlight items on the slide itself as a way to make it a little bit more interactive, like we're presenting in front of a group. So you could also choose a laser pointer and be like, see, the scales are tipping in their favor. Something along those lines, I don't know. But you do have some options that you can hold material down here as well. So if you want different arrow options, you can make it visible or hidden. You have some display settings. If you want, like a black screen, right? So that way it's just here. You can go ahead and change some of those as well. Just it helps you as an effective presenter. That, in the long and short, is chapter 4. And again, this will be the last chapter within PowerPoint and the last chapter in this textbook. In essentially 14 weeks, we will have gone through this entire textbook. All right, so there has been a lot of material covered within this class. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir. It'll likely probably be by the end of the week. I know I already have it on the daily agenda, and I know some students are already done with chapter 4. And at this point, if you want to keep working ahead, I am not one to stop you, right? I try to make it to where some of you work at different paces, and if you're flying through, by all means, keep going. So it is there. And I will likely go ahead and at least talk about it probably on Thursday. So that way, those that are already working on it, I can at least give them proper instructions to start the summative then. Because my goal, again, is to try to have PowerPoint done before winter break. Because I don't want you to forget a bunch of stuff after break. So, and then hopefully 1 to 2 days of testing for Certiport. So, any other questions? All right, cool. So you can go ahead and if you're still working chapter 3, that's totally fine. If you're done